Welcome, everybody, to an unusual date for our NWSOFA meeting. This one was promoted by Indivisible National. How we got here is interesting. When we were at Bill's picnic, Indivisible sent us a bunch of stuff and wanted me to present some things and show our issues wheel. And they liked it so much, they said, "We want you to do more of this." So they sent another box of promotional material having to do with the Inflation Reduction Act and how to promote it. Let me give a little thing about myself. I worked for an environmental and engineering company before I retired and found myself working a bunch of emergency response and remediation projects. Found out from them that they didn't like environmentalists. Environmental and engineering companies are cleaning up messes, and the environmentalists want to prevent messes from happening. So there's an interesting parallel to those two kinds of operations. I was surprised to find that out because I was an environmentalist working for this company. But anyway, now I find myself retired and needing things to do. And Bill and Sarah recruited me into NWSOFA to work on climate change stuff. Sarah's brother had been the lead before. Sarah recruited me, and I said, "Oh, sure, I could do that." So mostly I've been promoting people to give programs, but Indivisible said, "Well, we want you to give a program." So here we are tonight, and they have provided a bunch of information on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a huge deal. I hope you can look at this. I think you may be amazed as much as Bill and I were when we started to dig into this. We have a lot of things that NWSOFA is doing and Indivisible that we're a part of. So you can see the snowflake on the right is our issue groups, and our communication snowflake is on the left. We have lots of programs this month. I hope that those of you who are on that don't know about us will look into it. Those of you who already know about NWSOFA and what we're doing, please look at the programs. We've got some great programs coming later this week. I know it's a lot and we're busy, but it's important stuff. So with that said, let's roll on to Inflation Reduction Act. And a lot of people do not know what this is about. Its funding runs for 10 years, and that's a huge deal. It's $1.3 trillion of incentives and all kinds of stuff, programs and things. You'll be amazed, I think, as Bill and I were, as we look at this. Because it runs for 10 years, that means it's going to run through 2.5 presidential terms. So the funding's already there. Do away with it, it's going to be spent. So we see the Bill there is dancing on the right, and he's showing about all the stuff that's happened. So Indivisible National says, we've got to get the word out. The federal government is often not very well suited to promoting itself. If you look into the huge federal government, there are lots of departments and lots of really talented people doing all kinds of stuff that never get any publicity. But we're promoting this one so you can see what happened. Now, this passed without a single Republican vote, and most people don't know too much about it. They think Biden's not doing much. The corporate media says, well, polling is not very good, blah, 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 blah. So Indivisible National said, we're doing some work in what we term indivisible civics. Civics is one of the big things that Ed Spires and Jim McGrath are promoting, because some of you will or will not remember that during the Reagan administration, when he put in Bill Bennett, the blowhard education secretary, Bill Bennett's bright idea was to stop having civics being taught in the classroom. So over that period of time, it's not been taught in the classroom. And a lot of people don't know how government functions or how it's supposed to function. So I think Indivisible Civics is trying to remedy that, as well as, some of our other people. This is really important. Look at this, start looking at this plan. So every household in America can benefit from this. As you're going to see later on, as we come down to it, it's going to put money in individual pockets. It's not only federal, it's not only state, it's not only county, it's not only city. It's individual people who are getting tax incentives and rebates from this. Over the next 10 years, you're going to see things coming along. There are jobs being created. There are all kinds of stuff. If you start noticing things as you're driving around, if you drive cross country and out in the U.S., you'll see things happening. I just drove down from Minnesota down to the Quad Cities on some things I was doing with my family. But between Dubuque, Iowa, and Davenport, Iowa, there's some massive solar farms being installed right now. And this kind of stuff is going on all over the place. So start looking around, you'll start to see some of these things. Jobs are being created. This slide here is showing just something between for Illinois, and it says 545 jobs. And I think it's probably a lot more than that. So just the things in Illinois, sustainable energy jobs close to home, new manufacturing jobs in the community, investing in Department of Transportation things, roads, ports, bridges, and buildings. Interesting chat the other day with somebody. My son just got married, and at one of his happily ever after parties, got to talking with a guy who works for Plody Construction here in Illinois, and they've got all kinds of work underway in the Department of Transportation. One of the problems they have is the state of Illinois can't get enough engineering graduates to work for the Department of Transportation to move things along. So there's a bottleneck. So I'm hoping that something can happen to get public and private so they can get engineering people in those positions to move things along. I know that if you're an engineer, boy, you can get a job pretty much anywhere, and companies are stealing everybody's engineers to get the jobs done. Anyway, let's move on to the next. The Corps of Engineers program is upgrading the lock and dam system on the Mississippi, which has been long in need of repair, especially, I think, the Alton Dam. There's money going into that to finally get that done. And the project spotlight on the left was the solar farms being developed down in Kankakee. Freedom to power our communities. Legislation is taxing big oil and regulations on big pharma to get some money back in our pockets and actually fund this. So that's one of the interesting things on this. Those taxes are being put into this program, so it's not taking more tax money away from those of us at the lower end. Some of you have heard about some of this. Lower healthcare costs, insulin's capped at $35. There are other things keeping prices of medicines down. We're getting our vaccines. You don't have to pay for them. At least I don't. I'm hoping most of you get your shots. Biden's policies are saving 13 million people an average of $800 a year. That helps. I would like to get more, but we'll get a little bit at a time, and it will all help. Now, this is where it really gets interesting. And Bill Davis and I were looking through this one-page handout that Indivisible sent to a lot of us. And it has this QR code at the bottom. And I don't know if you out there in internet land can take the QR code with your camera. If you can, do it. If not, look at the rewiringamerica.org/app/IRA-calculator. And as we go into the next pages, I think you're going to be really amazed at the incentives that are coming along because of this. So so take a look at this and prepare to be amazed. So you can see if you click on roll through these things for yourself. I'm going to do mine too. I haven't done it yet, but there are some financial qualifications. So maybe if you're on the upper end of income, you won't get all of it, but I think everybody will get something out of this. There's the information. Now look at what it's offering. A heat pump water heater, $2,000 available now. Rooftop solar installation, 30% now. Weatherization, $1,200 available now. Keep going over on the right side. Electric panel, if you need an upgrade, which I probably do because I want to get an induction stove, $4,000. Induction stove, $840. Upgrade your electrical wiring, $2,500. If you want to put a heat pump water heater in, $1,750. Heat pump air conditioner heater, furnace, $8,000. Heat pump clothes dryer, $840. Weatherization, so on and so forth. I don't know if Mike Zanillo is on with us tonight. I know he put a heat pump furnace in, and I think it's been working pretty well for him. But I'm just amazed at the kind of incentives that this program is offering. Efficiency rebates. So I'll move over to electric vehicles. And so you're getting tax incentives and costs for electric vehicles. Anyway, I hope all of you are amazed by this. Bill and I certainly were. We were just like kind of gobsmacked at the incentives. And I think it's really positive. And it's, that there are no new taxes required to get this legislation. It's being funded, corporate taxes largely. I hope you can access this. take a look at it. I know people are also wondering what they can do. And I got a publication from Trout Unlimited. I'm sometimes a fly fisher. And they even had an article, The Climate Conscious Angler, What You Can Do Right Now to Address the Problem. And they had, I don't know if we've got it in the slides, Christine. I don't know, Bill and I were looking at it before, but they had 8 points that you could do. You can talk about climate change. You can assume a leadership role. You can align your actions with your values. Put an electric motor on your boat. You can initiate a community-based approach to climate. You can discuss habitat, water and pollutants. You can promote sustainable business, promote climate-friendly ideas outside your community, and focus on what really matters. Tax credits for plug-in vehicles. I think we've seen that before, and I don't have one yet. I've got a gas-electric hybrid, which is really nice, but not electric yet. But maybe I can get to it. NWSOFA has been, presenting things. We've been lobbying for legislation. We've got several groups that we partner with, Greater Palatine Area Democrats. We have lots of NWSOFA teams looking on the right side there, and you can see what Biden has done with largely almost obstructive Congress. He knows how things work, which is why he's been effective. So 13.5 million jobs, that's going up, unemployment down. We all know this. I think most of us on this site, wages are up, inflation is down, and there's some things I don't understand about oil. Like apparently on the West Coast, it's much higher than here in Illinois. I think we're paying, what did I pay, $3.49 for a gallon of gas the other day here in Illinois, and I think in California it's a lot more expensive, and I don't understand why. And probably it's a lot more expensive in Hawaii, but they've got to ship it out there. But if you have an electric vehicle, maybe you don't have so much of a problem out there.
California imports their oil.
They also pump a lot of their own, but maybe not so much anymore. So let's see. Do we want to take any? Yeah, somebody will have a good answer on that. So that does help. So, okay, there's the Trout Unlimited suggestions on what to do. Is there? Yep, there they are. There are 8 things. There's the Inflation Reduction Act. And so that's it. So this is a huge piece of legislation, and I hope maybe we've provided some information for those of you out there to take a look at this and see where the incentives can affect us all. I know that also there was something in the handout or the preparation that Indivisible National had something on. Oh yeah, here it is. So it's leveling the playing field. Everyone across place and race should benefit from an active and inclusive government. And the IRA Act, or the Inflation Reduction Act, had dedicated funding to ensure that no communities, even those most impacted by pollution, are left behind as we usher in our clean energy future. This is going to get money down into the poorer communities and the rural communities, I think, to make a difference. And I hope that it really does. And I think it's up to us to keep looking into this to see exactly where the money is, how the money gets out. I think that's about all I've got to say at this point.